All right, everyone, we are back. As we load in here, where we had left off in the last part was we have met our four. Well, one of them is for sure an investigator, a private investigator, and that's Claudia. But we've met the others, who broadly are referred to as investigators, whereas I'm the keeper. And each of them has arrived in town, or just live here, for various reasons. And they have their own desire or compulsion to come out to the Western Hospital, the very first asylum in the state of Oklahoma after achieving statehood, in the ruins of Fort Supply. And it is here that we will pick up. Now, the characters have had a chance, at least between Henry and Timothy, if they wish to play off of each other, about things that they could have talked about or not. Same with Claudia and Patrick. So, a little bit, not that you can't roleplay through it, but if there's some hand-wavy stuff, or it's an excuse where you as the player who are paying attention to elements of the other characters can bring it up in reference because you've had the chance to talk. Now, this does not necessarily mean that Timothy and Henry have spoken with Claudia and Patrick yet, so we have the two groups of two. They know each other, and then this is going to be a chance that you can continue to talk. But the sun has set over Supply, Oklahoma, which of course it's happening ever earlier and earlier in these dwindling days as we approach Halloween in-game. Now, this party is not on Halloween. It's leading up to it, but it is going to be dusk. There are some outdoor lights. Almost as a novelty, we now, 100 years later, use Edison bulbs as decor. Like, oh, those quaint Edison bulbs. And you find them in outdoor patios and whatnot. Well, that's standard issue here. So, refer to the Edison bulbs you might have seen that people put up on porches or restaurants use on their eating patios or whatever. That's kind of what's strung up here. There's some carved pumpkins, courtesy of some of the staff and some of the patients, and a lot of other little fun things made out of paper mache, tissue paper, because the theme is fairies, from fairy tales. There's going to be various little painted cutouts and scenes and characters. I do not have an exhaustive list, but if for some reason it's convenient for you to have that little, like, a wooden cutout that's painted to look like the spindle poking the finger. Now, obviously, that was brought up before. Then there we go. If there's something that's unsaid, and you say, oh, well, I don't know. Is there a candle at the table I'm sitting at? I don't know why you need it. Maybe you want to hold a seance. There's probably going to be a candle there. So, some visual references. You're going to find that there are many people in costumes of different types. Some Timothy, as you arrive, you might find some people wearing flying caps, similar to, aviators or other soldiers from World War I. You'll find you'll find all sorts of different people. Obviously, in the day and age, there are probably going to be costumes or elements of them that we here 100 years later go, well, wouldn't dress up like that for Halloween. But there are people of all different costumes. Here are some examples: scarecrows, clowns, a bunch of large masks of paper and paper mache and such. So I guess we'll start with a quick individual introduction of, what are you dressing as anything, and what are you doing at the outset of the party. So we'll start in the same order that we that we went. So Tim, I'm sorry, he told me that we're comfortable enough I can call you Tim. You're at the party. There's food and drink being served. This isn't a super classy fundraiser, but for what it is, it's, they're trying for what it is and where it is. Are you dressed up in a costume at all, or otherwise, how are you appearing at this party?
I'm probably just wearing something a little bit more like my everyday wear, because I was not informed this was going to be a costume party of any kind.
Okay.
So I'm wearing a nice shirt, a jacket, pants, nice little shoes, because gotta do it right. But one thing that I always got on my person and it's probably the most notable feature about me, is that I'm walking with a simple wood cane. With a bit of a limp.
You will definitely, you stand out and you blend in at the same time. There's only, unless any of the others say that they're formally dressed, there's only one other person who is rather formally dressed that we'll get to here in just a moment. But you'll have, there's going to be people who come up and, they'll ask you about your costume or, just some pleasantries. But while you're here, again, it's dusk as this scene opens. There are hors d'oeuvres and some drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic. There's a fine mood made with decorations of all kinds. Is there anyone in particular you're hoping to seek out, or a situation that you're hoping, like a grand announcement, and that's kind of what you're here for? Or you said that you're here on business from the university. Are you flashing some university credentials to try and meet people? How are you schmoozing in this fairy light garden party celebrating Halloween?
I'm definitely flashing my credentials from the university, because the dean sent me out this way to investigate something. So I'm hoping somebody knows what to do and what to tell me on what it is I'm looking for, because I'm a little bit deer in headlights in that way. And of course, the fundraising part for the hospitals, something of my own personal want, but to be in town in general is a little bit more business. That the hospital's more of a personal matter.
Okay.
And, definitely signing a check or two to make a donation myself. Not for very much, but I don't have a whole lot, but I'm contributing when I can.
I'm sure that if you pay something out of your own pocket, you could seek remuneration from the university for,
Right, they're paying my gas.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. So, just like ask for the receipt or something. All right. Then a quick question, as this would go over into Henry here. Did you two do a lot of talking in the diner, or was it sort of like, hey, nice car, hey, you?
I definitely
and then
noticed
it was that, or
Studebaker.
You did? Okay.
I definitely noticed the Studebaker.
I definitely noticed the bright blue. What was that? An Oldsmobile?
The teal.
It could be an Oldsmobile. It's nothing too particular fancy. Yep.
So it would have been light conversation.
32 Oldsmobile.
I don't know. We didn't get to play it out, but Henry's always looking for new contacts and new opportunities. So, the guy who wants to stand out is definitely the first person he wants to talk to. So it's kind of how I would approach it.
Party, not a costume.
Yep. So he's in formal attire in his teal car, and Henry, he is cutting a check.
I like to see that.
So Henry, then the question is we're doing like a quick establishment here. Are you dressing up, or how are you showing up to this party?
Yeah. So Henry has an assortment of clothing, not a large number of suits, but nice ones, semi-formal. He's got maybe 3 or 4 to allow himself to adjust for the occasion. So this seems like a pretty nice one. So this will be like a not quite a tuxedo, but maybe like a 3-piece suit. It's probably what he would wear for this.
Oh, okay.
And with the vest and the chain and all that, looking rather dapper, so to speak.
Okay.
Unless it is a black tie event, in which case.
No, it was never brought up that it was. Although you're seeing a couple people. Someone's in a tuxedo and Timothy's in a nicer suit. So I don't know if we are in the Depression, so maybe people are dressing up as monsters known as capitalists or something. I don't know. Like maybe that's the spooky, scary monster of the season right now. But
the Monopoly Man.
Yeah, the Monopoly. Yeah. You all are Uncle Pennybags or whatever, Moneybags. So yeah, there are people who are dressing up apparently as austere philanthropists who have brought ruin to the country. Okay. And for right now, you're observing.
Is that Krispy Kreme? It's like Krispy Kreme. Sorry.
Then we. That was in character, by the way. There's beautiful donuts being served
at
Halloween. All right, we come over to Doc Crane here. You said that you are wearing your tuxedo, and
I am, but the mention of penguins earlier, it got me to thinking that why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? And I in that time after talking with Claudia, I had Fawn help me make a little penguin beak.
Okay.
Some paper mache.
Yeah, so she's able to make a little paper mache. It ties her on the back. But otherwise, you look very, I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of like a Batman villain, like named after you or something that has. But
who's Batman?
I might have to.
I know, right? That's I think it's one of the people here at the costume. Like they dressed all like dark and brooding, like a man bat of some kind. And then there's like, maybe we'll have Dr. Warburton or something. He might look a little batty right now, and then we have a nemesis of penguin. So.
I might have to steal that cane from Claudia.
And so now you are here. So there was not necessarily a role for you to play because Dr. Warburton is the one who is throwing the shindig, is the one in charge. You've been told, 1, don't mess this up for me. And also 2, try and get what you can from everyone. So really, you're here to, and eventually you're certain that there's going to be a time when your ideas are going to be pitted against Dr. Warburton's. But if you want to start, introducing yourself, I'm Dr. Crane. I'm bringing a therapeutic, whatever. Then, so at some point in time, then, in fact, Timothy, while you're over there, you're probably approached by a penguin, and you are thanked for your donation. And Dr. Crane, you can, say, this is going towards, this or that or the other thing. And now, speaking of people, also with canes, Claudia, how are you dressing for the? How are you dressing for the occasion?
Well, unlike these jokers, Claudia's been preparing for Halloween since August. Sewing and putting together. It's all homemade, right? And this time, the commercialization of Halloween is not a super big thing,
Nope.
I would assume. And so she has put together a costume that makes her look like a witch, complete with a wooden walking cane that looks like, maybe a witch's broom or something like that.
Okay. So you're not going as an overt male authority. You're doing your job as security as a covert observer.
Yes, she's doesn't want to debase herself in that way, but she will, move around the floor talking with Dr. Warburton's men and coordinating the security that way.
Roll a disguise for me.
Yes.
Since you are being not just whimsical or convenient with yours, like you're actually going for something here.
Oh. Yeah, she's not very good at disguise.
Okay. I mean, 50 is not terrible. I mean, what are the odds, right? You know what, though? You've had time to plan. I'm sorry. You can roll a bonus on this. This isn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. I'll absolutely allow a bonus die on this.
Yeah, because she knew about the Halloween party, and so she was planning to, show up looking good. Oh, it's even worse. Yeah.
Okay, so... I mean, you're in a costume. It's not like it's just maybe not going to accomplish what you were hoping it would. I don't know, seamlessly have you blend in with the other, witches and goblins and everything else. So I don't know. Maybe you had a wardrobe malfunction, or I don't know. The makeup was just kind of starting to run or something. But you are in a disguise. It's just. I don't know. Something has happened, and we'll see if that has any particular bearing.
Well, people
probably
who
the
know
most
me will probably know that it's me.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say the most
will.
immediate would be Dr. Warburton would look at you, and I say, I had one request. Never mind. I have a speech to give. Just please do your job. And so he's confident, dismissive, and very, and he'll approach the stage that's here as he's preparing. So now we have the four of you. You are welcome to schmooze with each other. If there is a particular, give me a goal that your character has in mind to accomplish. Is this to make a particular contact, to obtain a thing, to observe or infiltrate? What is there a goal for you to do here? Timothy, we'll go back to you. What can I have you pursue in this time? It's casual. There's some radios that have been brought out that are plugged in. They're playing some nice music. Some people are dancing and singing, eating and drinking. You deposited the check. Is there a goal that will enrich your character's whatever? Your purpose, your pocketbook, your what? Or information to find?
I'm kind of walking the floor a little bit to say hi to folks. But also, really, the main goal of that is to kind of hear what the rumor is. Because nobody's approached me yet, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is I'm doing here.
Okay.
Again, they're in the headlines.
Yeah. So let's go to can have you charm your way around. You're the icebreakers of things. You showed your credentials. Let's see. This is you have time. There's not a lot of stress here. Go ahead and you can roll charm with a bonus die.
Oh, hey.
Hey, there we go.
Ain't too bad.
Okay. You
Roll that bonus die, see if I get any lower. Nope. I'm gonna leave it at that 23.
do meet someone from a another university that is on the eastern seaboard, a Miskatonic University. Someone who's come out here who is here to show some support and maybe also network. There feels to be a commonality between you and this other agent of a university, and you are able to I guess talk about the profession somewhat, and throughout the course of the conversation with this person, roll an occult. Yeah.
I have some skill, but not a lot.
Okay, that's fine. This person's field of study does seem to be more in maybe the metaphysical. Just some of the topics that come up do cross over into waters that you tread. There are anthropologists.
Human experience.
Yeah. But instead of necessarily digging up the artifacts or understanding things more about functional uses or a real and purposeful accounting for why something is, I don't know, this person is here, yeah, for human reasons, but also just some of the topics that this person comes up with would make them more of maybe like a philosophical or a theological study. Just someone who definitely maybe he's here because there's an insight that people who think differently have, and he's trying to use that to make connections or to learn something. But this person's field of study is out of the norm, but there's a lot of anthropological crossovers. So for purposes here, we'll say that you can have a contact with this researcher from Miskatonic University, and in return, you can learn a little bit of information as well. That as he asks you, as you're exchanging some information, and you have this anthropological lean, he's asking if you had any knowledge of the beliefs and practices of any of the 5 tribes in Oklahoma.
Can't say that that's a specialty of mine. Mine was more in Christian-based occult stuff, as it was important insights in the war.
Yes, of course. If there's anything that you perhaps pick up, then you have my card, and I would appreciate some mutually exchanged research. In my field, I find that sometimes you can find answers in places that you never thought to look. And looking inside the mind of the deranged can yield fascinating results. But also not just those who are institutionalized, those who think differently, those who practice things that have not been practiced by good Christian men such as ourselves.
What kind of insight can you share on that? Because that's not my specialty, like I said.
Just simply, I don't know, you find evidence of some sort of spirit worship, or you get to participate in a ritual of some kind. I don't know if it's one to call down the rains or to recognize the spirits of the departed. There's so many different kinds that there could be. But I'm not used to the cultures of this area of the country. And, well, sounds like...
Good. You're very much a man out of water. Fish out of water is what they say, I guess.
Yes, the Atlantic is more my home, I suppose you could say. Anyway, there's mysteries to be solved, and I'm here as a fellow educated man to do my part. I appreciate your conversation and even your dedication here to donate to the cause. Places like this are filled with people who need special attention, and maybe even an ear that would not just listen to what they say, but actually try to understand it.
You have no idea how much it means to me that you also feel the same.
Oh, well, yes, yeah, maybe in my own different way, but we are different people. And I would urge you... Okay, go ahead.
You did also say the minds of those in need could sometimes give you insights into things that you never knew possible, so...
Yes,
I don't know.
well, a needy mind knows a mind that needs. And I suppose to that end, is it Dr. Gibbs?
Yes, it is.
Ah, Dr. Gibbs. I wouldn't want to use the inappropriate title. Just... the more you learn, the more your mind opens, so...
I'm always thirsty for knowledge.
Yes. Don't drown. Please. Don't drown. Thank you, Dr. Gibbs.
Why do you say that? Like you think something is gonna happen like that? You sound concerned about something, Doctor.
Only that, as a fellow researcher, I understand how much this job can consume you. Or even get you to shake your faith in God. And these are
I think you
things...
have me mistaken, my friend. I'm not very religious at all.
That would inoculate you. Well, whatever it is that you think you know, be it a religion or a fact or something in between, there's always something out there that can challenge it. And it can make you less of a person. Don't lose that spark of curiosity and that hope. Okay? That's what I meant by not drowning.
I guess you're speaking from experience.
Yes. As I've said, a needy mind knows that there are minds that need. Anyway, thank you, Dr. Gibbs. I believe those stuffed mushrooms are looking especially delicious. And well,
Especially great with the cocktails.
with Samhain up and coming, Halloween, as it were, you shouldn't leave any unattended crops out in the field. And where are we but a field? We wouldn't want the fairies to claim our prizes, now would we?
Suppose you believe in such things.
Cheers, good sir.
Cheers.
Henry, what is, how would you like to enrich yourself?
Yes, we're all here for enrichment, aren't we?
Yes, we are, of various ways.
Okay. So, I've got basically 3 goals. The first goal is to identify anyone who might be a policeman or a private investigator or anyone of that type that I need to watch out for. The second is to identify what the type of, like, what is the, this might not be a goal, this might just be something that I see after 5 minutes, but what is the nature of the fundraiser here? Like, is it just like people pay like a high fee to attend the party, or is there like a silent auction, or is there, what's going? How are the funds actually being raised?
It is the dinner is provided for free, wink, but there's an expectation that you visit the black box and you place something in there, or you visit an appropriate hospital agent who is collecting. So
okay.
That way it is completely a charitable event. It has free food. It just so happens that everyone who's there knows that they should put something in there, and that this is going to be a solicitation for extra funds from the state, or if there's a federal, like a representative of some kind, that this is going to be, hey, we want to build our hospital, we want to, improve, so the speech for the specificities isn't there yet, but this is a free event that is here to collect a lot of money, for the cause of the insane, of course.
Okay. Yes, of course. Okay, so I know a con I can run here. That's
Sure.
And
please tell.
Yes. So the what I'm going to do is I'm going to represent myself as a wealthy donor from the East.
Okay.
I'll make up a story. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to approach the wealthy donors here and promise them that my foundation will match their gifts. And effectively what it is it's going to be a Nigerian scam.
Oh, right, okay.
Right. And I'll say, what you do is you write the check, and then I'll produce a check from my organization for twice the amount of money, and then that will be deposited in the box, and then that's a bad check. But I will pocket their money.
Right. So this is probably going to be more.
Yeah, I mean that's
like
what
fast
my
talk?
guy is doing. It's
like you're going up like, oh, you're donating. I got
this.
this, but here's the exchange.
Exactly.
Here's the procedure, and cool, let's do that. All right.
Yeah, and I mean we don't have to invest a lot of time on it.
Yeah,
but that's kind of what my guy is going to what Henry is going to be doing. And then I'm also, like I said, I need to look out for anybody who might be a policeman or anyone like that. And then the third goal is to identify who the locals are who are important, because I'm looking to make those connections, and because Henry's long con is still selling fake cars. So he wants to find out who he could maybe dupe into putting up a lot of money up front, and now he's already planning to show off Eric's car as evidence.
Okay.
I know that it's parked out there on the road somewhere, so that's kind of what's going on in the back of my mind. But those are things that are probably not all going to necessarily happen on screen, but that's kind of what Henry's up to.
All right.
And I am not sure how much time I had to talk to Timothy. I think we probably just talked about cars. But
we saw each other out the parking lot.
Yeah, so we would probably have exchanged pleasantries at the diner and maybe talked about cars a little bit. And then when we get to it seems like we traveled separately, so it'll be kind of a, hey, fancy meeting you here. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. You know, how nice that you're involved. Yeah, and I saw this and I thought I had an opportunity to help, and how wonderful, and all that. And we'll just get to know each other a little better, because Timothy seems like an interesting guy, at least someone that I would want to know better. Possibly a future accomplice, because I do need to replace my previous accomplice, who is now.
And so you have the blessing of, if there's something you wanted to draw on, like, hey, do you remember when we talked about that at the diner, or some out of game knowledge, then I think we can cover that. So there are going to be some overt there's probably going to actually be like a sheriff's deputy, or probably like 2 out here. So actual law enforcement. And then you're seeing some people who are dressed as orderlies. So security, overt security of the asylum. Though you've been in this game long enough, there's probably people who are not overt in their appearance, such as a deputy or as a sanitarium guard here. And I guess this would come down to an opposition between you and Claudia. And
I haven't said what I'm doing yet, but I'm definitely keeping an eye out for suspicious-looking people and people from outside of town.
So I'm not suspicious-looking at all. I have a very trustworthy face.
I'm down.
So maybe what we could do here is this would be a contested role that you're trying to measure your level of success if you're successful against each other. And I'm trying to think what we could pit together for this. So between Henry and Claudia, I'm open to you two kind of negotiating a my skill versus your skill. I just kind of looking it over here. Like Claudia, I know you made the disguise skill for your witch, but that's just sort of like you have a. You didn't. Number one, you didn't dress up like a man, and
no.
2, you have a costume. It is a witch. It's just not like a really nice costume, or it's not nicely worn because it's maybe falling apart or your makeup's running a little bit, or I don't know, something along those lines.
Yep.
But let's see, you're looking for people, or you're being observant in some way for suspicious activity.
I would probably suggest psychology. It's up to me.
Yeah, I think psychology versus fast talk, or possibly psychology versus... I don't know. This, like, I was planning on maybe trying to run like a 3-card Monty or a Bunko scam or something, which would all be sleight of hand, but it doesn't seem like it fits the environment. I think this needs to be a something more like a Nigerian or a check cashing kind of a scheme. So that would
might be able to do that sort of sleight of hand at the tables when people are sitting down and eating. And, because it's a night of magic and fairies, and you could do magic tricks, and, people's pocket watches disappear. So that's available, but I think for what you're doing, fast talk for sure, to go for the high-level check writers is going to be the way to go. So, yeah, let's do that. Claudia, do you accept that contest of psychology versus fast talk?
Fast talk.
All
Yes.
right, both of you roll it, and we'll see.
Well, neither of us did all that well, but I think I did slightly better.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Claudia, there's no one specifically that's jumping out, though I'm sure there's like a law enforcer's instinct. You just know something is happening somewhere, and you just haven't caught it, or you doubt a lot of words, like man, these politicians and their double speak, or the whatever, because that's a tradition 100 years from now too. I'm sure you're suspicious that there's nefarious things going on, but you don't have a particular target. And in this instance, then, so that was just the contest overall throughout the course of the setup time. Go ahead and roll another fast talk, Henry, and this is just for your con to work, like to achieve something. Hey, there you go.
Succeeded. Wow, a success! I didn't know that was even possible in this game.
Yeah. First time for everything. All right, so yeah, you're able to get a couple checks. The specific amount, we'll just say it's enough that you feel you could push your luck, but you might be content otherwise with what you've been able
No,
to...
I don't need to push my luck. I can get a couple of checks, spend the rest of the time meeting people and making connections. That's good
Okay.
enough.
All right. So as far as you know, you're not caught, and you're able to pocket some donations while networking. Now, Claudia, you still have something that was a contest that was like a bleed over. You'll have something you can still do when we get to you, but we just needed to draw you into this in the immediacy. Dr. Crane, what is a particular goal? Do you want to, I don't know, espouse the virtues of how you want to use the money? Are you trying to pursue someone for, intellectual or romantic contact? What do you hope to do in this hors d'oeuvres and drinks portion of the party?
I think the biggest thing would be just schmoozing and trying to get as much money in as possible. At some point, I would be talking about definitely as far away from Dr. Warbird as possible, but talking about my plans for if we're able to get this money.
Okay. I'll tell you what then. While you do that, the skeleton and the brains in jars have been a fascination of a lot of the people here. It's not often that anyone gets to see brains in jars or skeletons. And so there's a lot of people there and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know our brains looked like that. Or, wow, it's hard to tell the difference just by looking at the brains, who was insane and who wasn't, and blah, 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 blah. And you say, aha, this is an opportunity for me to espouse my remedies, my therapies, to play into this concept of, it's really hard to tell. And what if I were to tell you that one of these three brains was someone who was a certifiable, homicidal maniac and actually reformed to be a penitent person before he died? And can you tell me which brain that is? Or something. So you're playing into the props, and you're like, I don't know about that. But hey, you know what? You listen to Fawn, and it seems to work. So I'll tell you what you can do. You can roll medicine with a bonus die as you're explaining the intricacies of the physiology and how, like, you're debunking things like phrenology, which is like the bumps in the skull, and other sort of like fortune-telling stuff, or that sort of a thing. So go ahead and roll medicine with a bonus.
I will say this conversation would have drawn Tim's attention.
Sure.
He's observing for now.
All right. Patrick, you are doing a pretty good job. You're able to explain this, and people say, "Oh, the mysteries of the brain." I never knew this such importance. I just thought that a place like this was just a jail for psychos. And you're hearing a lot of blunt words and direct words, obviously, for people who some of them are just that, but obviously not everyone. And so this is actually an interesting. You're using the shock, but with the concept of, well, Halloween opens me up to skeletons and brains, and you're actually able to leverage this pretty well to get people's attention. Like, oh, well, if that's what the research money's going into. Oh, and in all places, Oklahoma, where this is happening. Oh, sir, you must be on the cutting edge of this research. And there's like a sense of pride in the state. Whether or not you say you're actually from Kansas, whatever, you're in Oklahoma right now.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Though, do me a favor, roll another medicine. This is not for you. You just have a convenient sheet that's comparable to Dr. Warbird, and so you're kind of rolling for your enemy here. Wow. Okay. So Dr. Warburton has a plan. His plan. Well, I'll get to that. We're not there yet. Not only is the money being rather generous, Now, this is going to spill over, Timothy. You're going to get to attend this impromptu lecture. Henry, a lot of people are super generous. They're like in such a giving mood because, these poor people, and of course it should be therapeutic, and this is giving you things to either play into, or, some people might be going, there's I don't know if it's convenient for you here, so you get a little sleight of hand in. They have some sort of a raffle. It's like $50 to enter. And some people are like, well, I only have 10 and I have a 20 on me. I really only brought the check from my boss. Yeah, I know.
That's a lot of money in 1936.
It is. Yeah, it's a big ask. But then, if you now want to 3-card Monty at the tables as people are trying to pool their money, you're like, okay, come on. I know you all are generous. You want to donate. Let's, come on, out with your pockets. Let's get, or however, right? I know that's not an elegant way, but you can absolutely run something like that because people are opening their minds and their pocketbooks.
Okay. Let me think about that because if there's already a raffle going on, who's running the raffle?
We're going to say that after everyone listens to Dr. Warburton's speech, he will pull the prize. And the prize is, I don't know, what would be appropriate? It's not going to be a new car. A new car!
Your supply of rice-a-roni.
Let's keep it old-fashioned. We're in the 30s. We'll do like a 50-50 or something. And considering the entries, every ticket's $50. Like, that's a. So we'll say it's actually cash going in, and the cash will be split. How about that? Will that work for you?
Oh, like the winner of the raffle gets some of the money, and the rest goes to the institution.
Yeah. It's a 50-50 raffle in that regard. Will that work for you?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have an obvious con like how I could steal that money,
Okay.
but. Possibly once the people get into the raffling mood, they get into like a gambling mood, and some people are interested in playing like street craps or bunco, and then I could maybe do that because that seems like something that I would be good
at. Claudia, what is your goal? What is something you wish to learn or do, achieve or obtain?
All right, so. That's a good question.
I know you're on the lookout for events, but...
Well, no, mostly what she's doing is trying to adhere to the spirit of Dr. Warburton's request, if not the form. So she will be kind of casing the grounds and, checking in with the local law enforcement. Just passing along information between them and getting updates. Because back then, policemen didn't really have the handy two-way radios they have now.
I'll tell you what then. I don't know if specifically this would apply. So, for all of you out there who are watching in the audience, this is a very skill-based game. There's many skills. I'm going to make the call that you can roll law to talk about law and law enforcement and law things with the lawmen, with the deputies that are here.
Sure.
And so you might be able to pick up some things like, there's this or that or something else. So go ahead and roll law. At least one of the sheriff's deputies knows you, and there's a whether or not he's courting you. I'll leave that up to you. But we'll say that you. Never mind. You have an extreme success.
Holy. This
is,
I think, the best roll so far in the game.
Awesome.
You work out a plan, and they, at least the one who might have a fancy for you, absolutely wants to work you into like the lookout, the rotation. They're sharing their information, and even you have a copy of the guest list. Like, here's all the expected whatever VIPs. So it's whatever the secretary of the governor. Here's the here's a banker who is like the vice president. So no one is like the head, but there's a lot of subheads of people. Functionaries of people as well. And they'll even tell you, so that and that, and so they'll point out things and give you that kind of information, very much including you in the details. That being said, especially with an extreme success, you also know it's not an exact list. You know for sure who's supposed to be here, and those people are here. There are people who are not on the list. Not that it's bad, because this is an open charity dinner that other people are allowed to come to. But at least you know the VIPs and not who's on the list. So, That being said, Timothy and Henry, you don't know their names, but these are people who are not on... Well, no, actually, hang on. Timothy
might be.
Is on the list, but was a last-minute addition. Like, he wasn't on the list, but was written in.
Okay.
This other character, as we know him, Henry, is not on the list. He's probably the fanciest-looking non-listed person, but there's some other local people, and obviously some, there's probably like some clergy members of churches who come out and give volunteer service to help try and entertain or just provide community service to the patients of the asylum. So there are some mingling people, but I would say the only person not well dressed, not on the VIP list, would be Henry.
I'd be well dressed, but I'm definitely not on the list.
Well, I'm sorry if I mix that up. That's what I meant. You are well dressed, but you're not on the VIP list.
Okay.
And besides, maybe like one of the reverends of the local churches, looking nice but not looking business nice. So, Claudia, your detective instinct. It does look like there are people who are maybe they've had a little too much to drink. There's some talking and not heavy partying, but people are just relaxing now. The sun has set. Food is in people, alcohol's in people, and it's just a very nice. It's now a very comfortable mood. But that also means that as people are opening up their pocketbooks for the raffle or other things, people drop stuff or people have stuff dropped. So I don't know. Your vigilance, if it comes into being, your vigilance is high because you are aware of a greater possibility of things.
Yeah, I think I am going to take this young constable across the dance floor.
Oh, okay.
And have him point out to me the faces to go with the names on the list as we dance.
Roll a charm.
Will I get a bonus because he's interested?
I'm allowing it because he's interested. He should be on duty otherwise.
Oh,
yeah.
So close.
Not gonna push my luck on this one.
Okay. He thinks he's playing coy. I mean, like, there's a professionalism, but he is trying to leverage this as, a little quid pro quo. You kind of I have some professional standards to maintain. I did give you that list and everything, but maybe at the next function we can be a little bit more communicative. The tone, my voice, it's still a little raspy from when I was sick. That's coming through as playful, not as like creepy. He's like playful and coy because he does have an interest, and there's a lot of going on. He does have a sense of duty, so it's more in that tone than him trying to leverage you or to treat you badly, or like manipulate you.
I'm still gonna flash him a little pouty lip, and then head off to try and find these VIPs on my own.
All right. Well, there's a ting 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 as Dr. Warburton is up on the stage, and that's making all the VIPs drawn very close to the stage where he's going to be presenting, and then of course shortly thereafter the 50-50. So some people are staying behind at the table or trying to scramble some cash or something to get in on it. Of course, there are some locals here too, Henry, that are just like, well, I'm here, I heard there's free food. It's technically free, even though they should be paying in. They're not. But they do have some stuff on them. But anyway, the time is here, and Dr. Warburton is... so you are outside of the institution here. It's in that lawn that was right out there. There's a microphone. Everything is set. The candles are flickering. We have fairy fire. We have fairy fire all around in our magical, fairy tale, grim, Mother Goose style, whatever, bunch of stories. And thank you all for attending. Now, it is with great pleasure. And he gives a lot of formalities, a lot of bluster, a lot of words that he, just as he told you, Claudia, there are things people want to hear. There are things people want to see. He's going down the checklist very professionally. It's kind of clear his heart's not in it, but he's at least addressing it, which, to the functionaries that have, various agendas or things that they need to see or hear, they can't really... Well, you don't believe in it, because if they point that out, then it causes a fuss. So the tension is kind of there. He's not doing he's saying things. He's definitely not coming across as very smooth in it, but he is going through the official motions of what is to be expected and done. This is when the part of the speech comes up where he says, well, in my plans for the Western State Hospital, we are going to build a therapy chamber that will have the latest in electrical and chemical study and stimulation of those who have been afflicted by different insanities. Getting into a lot of exploratory stuff, a lot of physical treatments of just like electroshock therapy and different, there's some research and speculation about lobotomization and things that are a lot more harsher and more permanent treatments than more of a therapeutic. It's a harder than even like you have psychology and then you have psychiatry, which is the drugs and the mental therapy, and then you have like the hard therapies. So his is there, and that gets the crowd talking. Like, and finally someone speaks up, because you did an excellent job, Dr. Crane. Our money isn't going to those. Hear, hear. Hear, hear. At different voices. In fact, we like Dr. Crane's ideas more than what it is that you've proposed. And now the crowd actually seems to be pushing back as Dr. Warburton is now beginning to flounder. Of course, Dr. Crane, a very young and intelligent man, has new ideas, untested ideas, and while there's room for consideration, we're dealing with the hard facts. We know that the brain runs on electricity, and we know that there are certain parts that are more vital than others, if only we can study the direct applications. Dr. Crane, a lot of people are like pushing you up to the front. Go, we want to hear you. We want to hear you. So, Claudia, you see the doctor who was attending to you, Penguin knows it all, is making his way. By the way, he's bouncing through the tight crowd. He's actually kind of waddling like a penguin would, and he he makes his way up to the stage, and we'll begin to talk. Quick check-in with Timothy and Henry. Are you two up at the stage? Are you hanging back? What are you doing in this moment of like the reveal right before the 50-50 round? And if nothing in particular, it's fine. Just I want to check, give you a chance.
I'd probably hang back, actually. Like, I was listening to Dr. Crane and his approaches, and that definitely sounds like a lot of the therapies that I went through when I was here. But some of Dr. Warburton's methods, the same kind of stuff that he does, is also the kind of therapies I went through. So there could be, I came out of it, so there might be an interplay there in a sort of way. The brain's a fascinating thing. It's a complex thing. Can't explore it, without something to stimulate with. So I'm curious as to what Dr. Warburton's saying. But some of those treatments are torture.
And Henry, what are you doing?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Come
There's a big crowd up by the stage, or you can hang back. It's not a big, like, crucial, second by second, blow by blow. It's just if you wanted to position yourself.
No, I'm good. I think just kind of being in the crowd is good enough here. I'm kind of just enjoying the moment, kind of like the rest of the crowd is. Not everything is about me. This is one of those moments.
Okay. All right. So Dr. Warburton says, yes, Dr. Crane, certainly he's feeling he is. It's cold. In fact, the wind's kind of picked up. It's turned to night, so the difference in temperature, it's really cooling off. The candles that have been put out on the table are starting to, some of them are blowing out. And the lights are sort of, bobbing and bouncing as the wind is picking up. And while it was kind of an overcast gray, as we're here in late October, just with the mood of things, the wind is picked up, and there's no moon, no stars. It's just kind of a cold, dark gray that is that's present, and almost like a static electricity feeling that's growing in the air. And the microphone as well. Like you get up and you start to address people. The microphone acts up a little bit. It's already a 1930s microphone, so it is what it is. But it's a little bit of static, and even the radios are kind of like maybe it's the cloud cover interfering with the radio that they've been piping in, or something. But you get up and you give your speech, Dr. Crane. Which does seem to be much more appreciated. And, Timothy, you're like, well, yeah, I do see that some people need that harder application. I also see where torturous and all this. So you're getting to hear the not quite debate, but it's a debate all the same. The politicians that are here actually look engaged because now it's an excuse that, maybe we can consider something, we'll call something out. Claudia. One of the orderlies, as you're here and you're keeping your eye open on things that are happening, there's one that comes from inside the building, pulls the other one down, who nods, looks over, just kind of gives like a dismissive, yeah. And then the outside orderly and the inside orderly both disappear into the building together.
So I'm supposed to be in charge of security, which means probably keep my eye on the crowd
Okay.
so that Dr. Warburton or Dr. Crane don't get harmed. But that was suspicious activity. And I am curious. So I am probably going to leave this crowd control up to the local sheriff's department. And I'm going to follow the order.
All right. You start making your way. Are you doing this discreetly? Or are you, like, making a beeline for the doors?
I'm not making a beeline, but I'm about as discreet as a person with a walking cane can be.
Well, right, yeah, but you're not going all out. All right, that's fine. There's a lot. I won't need a roll. I get your intention here. So, all of these are there are thoughts that are thinking. There are motions that are motioning, and this is This is all going on here. One of the you know what, Timothy, you said that you were hanging back. And someone says this. It must be someone at the hospital. It's probably Nurse Emily. You probably wouldn't know her as Nurse Emily, but it's clearly someone who's wearing, like, maybe some makeup, but she works for the hospital. You've probably seen her going around. Oh, can I get you anything? Can I answer questions about the facility? This radio, I swear, and she just starts hitting it. And it must be an old radio. Like, a little bit of dust actually comes out of the speaker. She's like, that's the reason why? Like, it does. I mean, it looks like she just, like, knocked loose some dust out of it. This old thing.
All right.
Yeah, well, obviously we need some upgrades around here, and these radios have been around for a while. You can tell by their shape and size. We lugged them out here, and, well, although I didn't know they got this bad. Fine, everyone, fine, Dr. Warburton says up on the stage. I understand, and you know what? My young colleague, my young, impressive, intelligent colleague, has some very good points. And in fact, you all have been so generous with your money that perhaps we can explore both ideas. We can research the practical and the he was about to say impractical, Doctor, but he stopped himself. The practical and the research. Yes, that word. I am fully willing to split this in half. And he makes a grand gesture, and there's some applause. There's also the sound of breaking glass as from one of the second story windows, an orderly is flung out, and as he falls on this microphone that's here, and he goes screaming face first. Everyone can hear the sound of this large 30 style steel microphone with its springs and everything tear through the mouth, throat, and guts of this orderly who is impaled on the microphone. Now, in this moment, we're going to explore something called sanity in the Call of Cthulhu game.
Yes. It's gory, and it makes us all unhappy.
Yes, and it was amplified at that. We just had an orderly flung out of an asylum who got impaled kind of in half on it. So I need each of you to make a sanity test. And,
what is the procedure?
Gore
Just roll sanity like we would if it was a stat?
yes. If you win, you take 0 or low fixed sanity damage. If you fail, you take a particular die's worth of sanity damage.
What
Are
if
we
I have an
supposed to have-
extreme success?
Are we
I-
supposed to have a maximum pool or something? Because
Yeah.
mine's not filled in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your sanity starts off equal to your power, I believe.
Yeah.
And then
Powered. Okay.
You could lose it if you know,
And-
stuff happens.
As you lose your sanity, so too does it become harder to pass those checks.
Yes. Claudia is unfazed. Timothy is. Yeah, so it's really just
This
Dr.
is-
Crane.
This
Isn't
is
that
Okay.
funny? The one guy
Well,
who should be.
I mean, yeah.
But also, I was probably covered in some of that gore.
Yeah, Dr. Crane, you were kind of in the splash zone, so...
And given my history, this ain't nothing.
Okay, so, with the extreme and rather unsuspected violence and gruesome death, all of you are going... well, those of you who passed, you are going to take 4 points of sanity damage. Now,
Even for an extreme success, I still take 4 points.
I don't believe that it is either a pass or fail. Because it is still something that is traumatic and terrifying. Something like this also, luck points cannot be used on. For sanity and also for attacks. And there's one more thing I think that you can't use luck on as well. Yeah, as Ragabrash said, you get extreme success, you graduate out of the story. You're super
That's probably
sane.
the best case.
That nothing can affect you now. So what we have here, Doctor, this is going to be a D6 plus 1. So go ahead and roll 1d6. We'll add 1, and you've lost that much sanity for being in the splash zone. Okay. So
Wait, so he failed, but he gets basically the same amount of sanity loss as those of us that passed?
it's, I mean, maybe I could have called for a larger die. That's my inexperience, but there's a fixed amount that is a guaranteed, and then there's a variable, which could possibly be less. But
Oh, the fixed amount is if you pass, and the
yeah.
one after the slash is if you fail.
Yeah, exactly. So I had him roll for failing. It's just maybe I should have chosen a larger amount or lessened the straight up. But regardless, this is a big splash, and he still took 5 points of sanity damage. But I will keep this in mind for future sanity rolls. Should you need to roll them, you probably will. So yes. Now, there is if an investigator loses 5 or more sanity points from a single source of sanity loss, sufficient emotional trauma has been suffered that the keeper must test the investigator's sanity. The keeper asks for an intelligence roll. If the roll is failed, the investigator has repressed the memory. You want to fail this one. And does not become insane. Perversely, if the intelligence roll succeeds, the investigator recognizes the full significance of what has been seen or experienced and goes temporarily insane. So, Doctor, please roll intelligence. Success! You realize, you're like, yep, so that you know the medical terminology. Just by the sound of it, you're like, yep, that passed through that. There goes his diaphragm. Yep, that was probably his sternum popping and making his ribs, like, flare out in his chest.
It landed in the ilium. Oh.
Yeah, and you're like, well, oh, wow, I really wish I didn't actually have excruciating medical knowledge for what just happened.
Yeah.
What's that?
I just agree.
Okay. So the effects of temporary insanity begin immediately and last for 1d10 hours. Would you kindly roll 1d10 for me? Okay, well, it'll be a tough night for you, Doc. Oh yeah, you know what? Huh. That's fine. I totally did this because I'm showcasing temporary insanity, and not because I accidentally didn't. I had my hand over the examples of sanity point cost part of the book. Totally, that was purposeful. Anyway, you are temporarily insane. I believe this is a bout of madness. And what do we have here?
Significant psychological trauma.
Emotional damage.
Bouts of madness, real time. This is real time. This is happening in the immediacy. So, roll 1d10 again for me, please.
Aw.
9. Oh, cool! You gain a new phobia. Let's see. There is a roll, a 1d100 on a sample phobia. But you know what? This might be more meaningful. Patrick, let's make this personal. What are you scared of now that this just happened?
I want to say either microphones are being flung out of windows, but
I'd say that's a natural avoidance. That's not necessarily a phobia. That's an irrational. I mean, maybe windows. If you want to say like, I don't want to be anywhere near windows. That might. Okay.
That's gonna be interesting. Proximity to windows.
I have added that to my sheet.
Even if the source of the phobia is not present, the investigator, it's still present. There's many windows in this facility. The investigator imagines it is there for the next 1d10 rounds. So, at least in the immediacy, there would be no escape. You'd see windows everywhere. So anyway, you look up from this person, and there's a shattered window, glass. There's the lights that are sort of like dancing in a mad fashion across the window panes. Like window panes. Pain. No, I'm trying to avoid pain, or I don't know. You rationalize the irrational. But there's some prompts for you. So the doctor just absolutely is scared of windows, and immediately switches to apples, and then he runs away because it keeps him away anyway. For you, Claudia, you avoided the splash zone per se, though you're by the door because you were making your way in there.
Oh yeah.
From inside the building, there are some loud screams and hollers. And, well, if I told you it sounded like a madhouse in there, I would not be lying. Because it is
a madhouse.
It is a madhouse. And jumping out, you're not quite sure how you could how you missed this girl. It was that same girl who just seemingly like comes around the corner of the door you're going in and like hangs on to you, and she says, "Miss, they're after me."
Who's after you?
Joe and the other bad people. And this is from the window where the orderly was ejected, defenestrated actually.
Yes.
There is in fact, maybe this helps instill your fear of windows, Dr. Crane. You actually see your patient Joe. He has escaped his bonds, and he is covered in blood. Now, the orderly that was flung wasn't covered in blood until he was. So the blood is coming from somewhere else, and he is holding maybe some sort of like a surgical saw, like something from the operating room, we'll say. Probably whatever to like cut the skull open and remove the brains. And he howls into this maddening wind, which just, if the cold or that weird static electricity feel didn't already have people tingling, just this emotion, whatever this is, lunacy, some sort of raw emotion or whatever, escapes this person. And so while that patient is up in the window, he points down with the saw at you, Claudia. Give her back to me to finish! And you hear others inside that are just as worked up, who are running to the entrance. You're not sure how many, you don't see them, but it's clear that you have one person up in a window with like a big bone saw or something, and there's a couple others who are just as ranting and raving, who have not yet appeared. And I think what we can do here is we'll pause our session right before, so we have some jump right into it for next week, as there's going to be a scuffle or an escape or something of some kind next week, as we find out what's going on here with this. I will conclude, though, that Dr. Crane, of course, you see that it is Fawn who is clinging to Claudia. And
Yes.
and of course, Claudia, that's the girl that... Now, and I'm sorry, with also the revelation, not only are there people coming out of this asylum to attack, Tim and Henry, you see that there's this, not a little girl, but this young woman in red who just jumped out of the asylum and is clinging on to this witch. That's for sure the girl that you saw. And she's asking for help, and the lunatic upstairs apparently wants her dead. What you choose to do with that information, if anything, you can stand and fight, you can run, you can do a little bit of both, you can pickpocket people who are panicked. You have some time to think about it, because when we start our next session, there's going to be some kind of a conflict that's going to be occurring. And I look forward to starting off with that bang. So, and by the way, thank you for the gifted subs out there, Quingar. That was very generous of you. So I hope that you liked this introduction to our story here, The Lady in Red. I appreciate your time. I'm going a little bit over, but a late start, and we'll hit it again next week if everything's smooth. And thank you all out there in the audience as well for your time and your...
Yeah, I think it was the right choice to get to this point with stuff.
I thought and hoped so too, but I was willing to, do the whole thing at the beginning, if it was down to it. So
Good.
Do we get to roll for luck because it's the end of the session?
Yeah. If luck replenishes at the end of the session and not at the end of the story, because I didn't read. I don't know if it's a pool that
Luck
goes.
doesn't replenish, as far as I recall.
Well, we can.
We can mull about that during the off week, yeah.
So let's do this, everyone. Speaking of delving into worlds of darkness and the unknown and things that are spooky, we're going to go raid into Macabre Derek, who is currently playing Darktide, and we'll wish him well, and hopefully he's having fun with it here. So come along with me, everyone. For all of you who are new, you found us through a recommendation or through this channel. Thank you so much. We do a lot of role-playing here, teaching, engaging with it, playing like this. We have all sorts of events where prizes go out. I have one where there's a big Tiamat to give away in not too much longer. We're almost at 4,000 followers, and she'll be released upon you all at some point after we hit 4K. But for now, let's go visit a friend of the channel here, see how he's doing in Darktide. He does a lot of horror art. He's having a special going on right now. If you want some spooky stuff drawn, ask him about it. Heavy inks, very stark style, kind of a Western comic book style. You want to talk about Vampire the Masquerade, Battletech, Warhammer and stuff, he's an awesome guy to do that. Thank you all for your time tonight. I appreciate it. And when we come back for Wednesday night's workshop, we're going to get into the rules of the game, and we're going to explore them together as we're programming ourselves how to play. So thank you, and goodbye. Let's go raid.